My name is Mary Anani Ewu, the founder of the Yes She Can Foundation. Yes She Can chose today is International Women's Day to celebrate the beautiful things that Ghanaian women are doing. And we're also here to empower the generations, even yet unborn, the students here on UPSA campus, to tell them that there is more to what you can do. There is more to what you think you can do out there. Let's move out as women. I love the statement when we say, behind every successful man is a woman. So how do we show it? Get out of your comfort zone and let's see how we can transform the world. Not just the men, the children, generations of people.
Make my eyes go hazy.
And the song I love to listen to and still do, they played it here a few minutes ago by Becca Woman. So anytime I stand in front of the mirror, I tell myself, is this indeed the end? Then I ask myself, before you can speak to someone, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Okay, so I'm educated, but this is where I find myself. How about those young girls who get pregnant and they think that's the end for them? So I sing Woman all the time in the morning. I speak to my girl, my first daughter, and then I told myself that I wanted to become Miss World for Ghana. I loved pageantry. If you don't find me in the kitchen, the next place will be the television, watching Miss World. Because I definitely thought and knew that I would become one. But that was the situation I found myself. So I remember sitting with my dad at the dining hall and they were showing Ghana's Most Beautiful. And my dad said, "Say what's so baby?" And I said, why am Miss Beautiful in a nice way? And I said, no, I'll prove you wrong. That's what I told my dad. So when the baby came, I carried the baby to my first GMB audition and I got to the top 2 for Eastern region. But I was not selected. I went for the second time, got to the top 2, I was not selected. The third time Auntie Linda saw me, I always go there with my baby anyway. Auntie Linda saw me and said, Afua, I think you are bigger than GMB. What I see in you, you don't have to focus on GMB. And I said, okay. So the first thing I did was to, reassess myself. This shouldn't be a barrier. I need to be an example to those young girls out there who, by mistake or by no mistake, are in this situation. And then I came up with ASA Ashes, an ushering agency. I thought it was just an ushering agency, but apparently I was serving people more than the ushers that I employed. I could work for anybody, and that's why I bring in service. Serving and paying your dues as and when it's needed. So I really served a lot of people. And then fast forward, I said, okay, I wanted to become a journalist and a lawyer, even though now I don't want to be the lawyer again, it's too long, 7 years or so. So I decided that I want to do journalism, and then I went to Ghana Institute of Journalism. But I was not, sometimes I'll be in school and I'll be working at the same time. So most of my mates know me. Sometimes they have to do my work for me, and then I'll be doing my ushering business elsewhere. In the process, I heard of Miss Tourism Ghana. And then I read the rules and regulations. If you have a child, you cannot participate in a beauty prize, and this is not right. Of course I have a child, but I'm still capable of doing it. So I went, I participated, I told my parents, you know what, this is your responsibility, take care of my girl for me, it's time for me. And then I placed second there. Then I said, okay, whatever it is I put my mind to, I've achieved it. Although I did not win, being in the second position is not easy. So what next? Then I said, back to journalism. When I went there, it's a big space, and nobody would easily welcome you. Okay, you are in, come and take the screen. So what do? I need to create my own platform. And I think at the age of 26, I started producing my own TV show called Queen Sarina. I was using it to promote women entrepreneurs for free on Joy Prime and then Angel TV. So after that, I set up a real business. This is because at multimedia, I worked with multimedia for my national service and then for I think a period of 3 or 4 years. I met a lot of people, but one woman that I always looked up to was Gifty Auntie. So I read about her, I followed her story, everything. That's what I do. If if I look up to you, I make sure that I get to know who you are, the challenges you've been through. So sometimes when it becomes wavy and muddy, I go like, this is what she did. She didn't care. So let me do the same thing, and I do that. So I opened my company and I told myself that nobody held my hand as at that time when I was in crisis. The only person I could look up to was my mom, and she is a very hardworking woman. So what do I do for the next generation? How do I celebrate women that I look up to, that through them I became, or I am becoming whatever I want to become? Then the award scheme came. Celebrating women impact society and impact lives. And with the reality shows, especially the Miss Kitty, is to guide the young girls who aspire to become beauty queens like myself, who do not have anyone to support them, and also help them with public speaking. So when you pick her story, adding value to yourself comes in at a point where you think that it has ended for you. And then her story is being uncomfortable. I don't like being comfortable anyway. And then yours, you want to become this, but that might not be your purpose. Your purpose might be way different from your career. So in all, I would say that, I didn't talk about the Guinness World Record. For that, I'll share it in our Q&A. But all I'll say is that, let me add all the 3 stories, including mine.
Don't do my work for me.
Okay, the 4 of us, I would say that go for it. And whatever you put your mind to, just make sure that you do it and don't listen to anybody except your instinct.
Shut out the noise. So let's clap for them the first round.
I never struggled on the relationship market. In fact, I was hardly on the relationship market. I met my husband. Within 3 months, I was traditionally married. Within a year, I had my church wedding. 9 months after I had my first child. So I don't have stories to tell you about some of the typical difficulties that women face. But I have a story that I hope would wake a lot of women up. And that story is that I was never content with living in a mansion and driving a Mercedes and a Land Cruiser and a San Patrol and whatever else. I was never content with traveling around the world as and when I will. I was never content in having my children go into the best schools. My spirit was restless. I needed to add value to myself. What I walked out of the Ghana Institute of Journalism with was not enough for me. And so even while I had the luxuries and the pleasures of, living the life of Riley, if you want to call it, I kept adding value to myself. Piled on one degree after the other, piled on one professional qualification after the other. Fast forward, after 14 years of marriage, when a typical young woman may have been very, very comfortable, enjoying her life, tragedy struck. I woke up one day and my husband, who was the sole breadwinner of our family, had been brutally murdered. The world did not give me peace to grieve. The world did not give me peace to even come to terms with the change in my circumstances. My only good fortune is that I had education. And I swear by education. That was my lifesaver. Because I went from living in my mansion to living in my friend's outhouse. I could have gone to my mother's house. I could have gone to my sister's house. I did not want to get comfortable. I'd suddenly had her life turned upside down. It was women who held my hand. And today I want to publicly acknowledge my older sister, Shiva. She's the reason I stand here today. She gave me the courage. She assured me women like Honorable Abla Gomashi, I call her my big sister. Women like Abba, I'm about to get pushed off.
Please, let's clap for her so she doesn't. I am so proud of you, Irene.
I know you are. In some of the deepest, darkest moments of my life, it was women who held my hand. And even if they did nothing, they spoke words of encouragement to me. And it was women who encouraged me to pursue higher education. And it is still women who are telling me you have to finish that doctorate. You see, we cannot stand alone. We cannot stand by ourselves. Our collective success depends on the individual effort of each and every one of us. And even if you don't take anything away from this room, it's the fact that it's your responsibility as a woman, because nobody would do it for you. It's your responsibility, one, to build yourself up so that you can help another woman to build herself up. It's your responsibility as a woman to tell your story so that when somebody thinks that they're experiencing the worst, when somebody thinks that it's the end of the world, your story will remind them that just when the cocoon thought life was over, it became a butterfly. And the final thing I'm going to say, especially to the young women in this room, don't let anybody fool you. Look, anything and everything can be taken away from you. But what you've got up here, your education, is the one thing that nobody can ever take away from you. Let them take your certificates. I remember there was a time when somebody, certainly not a woman, told me, oh, you will crawl. I said, who, me? One, you don't know the God I serve. Two, you forget that I can go back to the institutions where I studied and get all my certificates back even if you take them and burn them. And so I just want to encourage every single young woman in this space, don't miss out ever on an opportunity to. And so I just want to encourage every single young woman in this space, don't miss out ever on an opportunity to add value to yourself. It's not just about formal education. If you have to learn a skill, learn it. If a man tells you stay at home, if it works for you to be there for your children or whatever, you may choose to listen, but don't get content. Don't get confused. Add value to yourself, always and all the time. Because a day may come when nobody would look your way. A day may come when friends and family may turn their backs to you. A day may come, God forbid, if you lost your husband like I did mine, his family and friends would carry on like you don't exist, and you will have your children on your necks.
Make my eyes go hazy.